Hi, this is the ocean. This is a deep woo. Oh, woo. Well, I'm coming in early because I just want to start a little earlier because I always go through a little bit of explanation that maybe some of you who are regulars have already heard. I am shamanic and I am also a medium. I have prophetic dreams. I have learned to do some things like mitigate weather and cross over earthbound souls. I help people with their spiritual problems. I walk between the worlds. That is what shamans do, is they literally walk between the worlds to mitigate for the people. And there is Cowboy sitting standing guard there in my chair, watching out the window. Um, that is my faithful kitty cat companion. And I've been doing this for a long time. My father's side and my mother's side both had psychics, and I'm just going to call it psychics, although that seems to be a dirty word in some circles. That's what they were. um, Whether you relate that, whatever you relate that to, basically, my father, he could do a lot of things. He could do some strange things. He did, in front of my eyes, heal my dog when my dog hurt his spine. He did frequently have prophetic dreams. He was also a very tortured man in a lot of ways. Um, it was a not an easy life for him, I guess. Anyway, my mother's side also, I hear that my grandfather had a tendency to see visions. He was also an artist. This is why I can also do spirit art. Hi, Renee. How you doing? So I am basically, oh, there's other stuff I can do too. And I always say you never know what you can do until you try. You have to remember that you're divine. And that's one thing I will always tell you is remember you're divine. You can probably do a lot more than you think you can. And you'll never know unless you try. And I would hope that you don't do things that are going to necessarily harm you. But there are going to be opportunities come up. Hi, Pam. There are going to be opportunities come up for you to test out your divinity. And I don't recommend you doing anything horribly dangerous physically, okay? The physical plane is actually the last place that a lot of things manifest. When things manifest, they usually manifest etherically first. So I'd advise you to be careful in that regard. However, if you try, you may find you can do a lot of things you never dreamed you could do. A lot of things I never knew I could do until I tried them because there was a necessity. And if you have a pure heart and there's a necessity, a lot of times a new skill can be unlocked. So, dream interpretation is another skill. And the thing about dreams, and my dad's dreams too, sometimes they're very real. I mean, you'll see a scene just like it's actually going to happen. But a lot of times they're more of a story and symbology of everywhere, and you have to decode the symbology. So I'm going to show you with when I have these prophetic dreams, I'm going to help you understand how to decode dreams that are symbolic because it's a little different. Some things are literal, some things are just trying to show you ideas. Occasionally, your dreams will show you things in a less dangerous form than they actually are going to happen because you have to be able to accept it. A lot of things you'll just kind of, yeah, how can I put it? You, your dreams will sometimes try to be kind to you just so that you pay attention and really look at it instead of just scaring the bejesus out of you. So I think that's what this one is doing. And this is one I didn't get to finish last time because I ran out of battery on my phone. And for those of you who don't know, recently I've been doing this all on my phone because my other equipment has problems. As a matter of fact, it's getting to the point where I can't even turn on my router without experiencing problems. I am very sensitive to Wi-Fi and electric fields right now for whatever reason, and I haven't really. For some reason, I just have to be careful of them. I'm just sensitive. So even if everything was working, I am definitely thinking of getting it just all hardwired. So just wired instead of Wi-Fi because I can't even turn on my Wi-Fi anymore without some effects. I'll turn it on for just short bursts, but not for any long term because then I get all kinds of effects from it, including not being able to sleep and fidgety and nervous and depressed and headache, pain between my shoulder blades, and funny feelings on my skin, and weird artifacts in my eyes, squiggly things in my eyes. Weird looking, it's like my eyes get kind of blurry. It's serious. Since 5G came on, and I know we don't have towers like real close to here, but close enough. So it's bad enough as it is, and hopefully, I'm still hoping that uh, real quick people realize what a mistake 5G is because it is a terrible mistake. Well, maybe not for some people, but it certainly is if you happen to be a human being living in the world, especially a sensitive one. So, anyway, I'm going to go on with my dream because, as I said, prophetic dreams run in my family on my father's side. And actually, I guess as I think about it, my mother mentioned some of that kind of thing too in my grandparents' day. And uh, the Native American side is my mother's side. And of course, they put a lot of stock in dreams. So I've learned that particularly if I have a recurring one, I should pay attention. It's important. No matter how it looks on the surface, it's an important dream. So this dream's the view that I get is there's a there's an aisle, and it looks like it could be any kind of aisle, like in a theater, in a plane, not sure. And there's a left side and a right side, of course. I happen to be sitting in what would be the right hand aisle. Okay. But I'm seeing it kind of more from the side, like from my aisle, side of the aisle. And looking at this figure who is face down in the middle of the aisle. Pardon me. It's kind of I see, and I could tell this is important because it kind of emotionally affects me. So there was something there that would emotionally affect me if it wasn't shown in this way, in a much smaller, less scary way. But so the person in the aisle is a woman, and she looks to be Asian, and I'm thinking Chinese, Japanese, didn't know, but probably Chinese, I was thinking maybe, but I could be wrong. But typical dark hair, the way they dress and everything was there. Um, so over her is floating in a stream, in a swarm. It looks like a swarm of these things that look like, at first, it looks like dry ice, but then I look closer, and although it has like little steamy bits around it, it looks more like concentrated balls of something. It looks a bit like this, actually. It looks that dense. It doesn't look like a normal cloud. It doesn't look like smoke. It's white and kind of bright. And they're flying down this aisle over her body, and she's face down. And people on my side of the aisle, on the right side of the aisle, are trying to encourage her, trying to help her, but they don't know exactly what to do. But one guy is saying, keep your head low. That's where the air is going to be. Yeah, just keep your head low. And people are saying, come on, you can make it. You can make it. And she's terrified. And so for a while, she's crying, she's keeping her head low. But then she gets her courage together, and she kind of sticks her butt up in the air, and she pulls herself up real quick, and she runs over to the right aisle, over right next to where I am. And somebody catches her in their arms and says, "You're okay now. Okay, you're okay now." And she's crying. This is very emotional for her. She was terrified. She's terrified. The people on the left side were not paying any attention, hardly at all, to her. It was like she wasn't even hardly there. It was like a couple people looked over like, oh, gee, that's interesting. I'm like, oh, gosh, this is the people who just didn't care. We know these people. Some people have blinders on. They just don't pay attention. They can't pay attention. Some people can't stand to pay attention anymore. There's just too much going on. I understand that. There's so much they can't look at it anymore. I understand. But this person was clearly needing help, and the people on the left side weren't doing anything for her. What does the left side represent? I'll let you be the judge of that. What's it been representing lately? People on the left side of the aisle. Hi. Okay, Pam. And then the people on the right side of the aisle. What has that been representing lately? So, or even just the fact that right means right. But if I look in the direction, and this is like looking in the direction that the swarm, I couldn't see where this swarm was coming from. But it was coming down the aisle and it was coming really quick and it was coming real thick like a swarm of bees. And it was pretty scary. Actually, if I'd have been her, I think I probably would have been pretty terrified too, because it just looked like a swarm of something. What is it? Okay, I found out what it is, I think. And as these things are, um, it was strictly synchronicity how I figured this out, because I was still bothered by what are those things swarming her that were swarming down the aisle there. And then a guy who does science-y stuff comes on YouTube just kind of randomly. And he says, I'm going to show you how to make plasma. And he lights a piece of wood and puts it in a microwave that I expect is a microwave he saves especially for his experiments, because it was kind of burning and melting the top of it when he did this. So he puts a small stick of burning wood, just a little bit bigger than a match, in there, a bit bigger. So I guess that it would stay lit, right? And he lights it and, he closes the microwave and he turns it on. And all of a sudden, these bursts, this ball that looks like this, looks like that, comes flying up from the fire. And of course, when it hits the ceiling, it kind of spreads out and dissipates, but it's obviously screwing up the top of the microwave. So anyway, he says, don't try this at home, right? All right. He was making plasma. Now, the interesting thing about plasma is it's a lot hotter than fire. It is actually of the element of fire. And remember, I have been saying that people are hearing from the elements, including me, that they're being abused and misused. And I'm going to have to say what this is talking about is some sort of plasma weapon. Hope that doesn't get me stuck in the algorithms. And remember, this is only instructive inside this game, inside this matrix. Real life is outside the matrix, so this has nothing to do with real life, right? And with that disclaimer, I'll go on. Plasma is super hot. If you want to know what kind of destruction it can cause, think Paradise City, California. You remember the pictures of Paradise City, California, where the house would be completely gone, but the tree next to it would be just fine? That's a directed weapon of some kind. Okay. So a plasma weapon could do that sort of damage. It is much hotter than fire and than regular fire. And it is suspected that this may be some of the melted cities we see in the last reset. If you don't know what the last reset is about, there are channels that do mud flood and ancient cities that are, I mean, a lot of these mountains, and maybe all of our mountains, it looks like a lot of them, or maybe all of them, were at some point cities that got destroyed. Um, and they look to be melted. And what would be hot enough to melt it? Well, they estimate that probably plasma would be hot enough to melt solid rock. So, my dream, I think, was trying to give it to me in a way that I could handle it and not, you know, too scary. But now remember, this was an Asian woman. So I'm thinking, does that mean it's in this part of the world that this is going to happen? Or actually, China has bought up a lot of California. And this would be a very, very destructive weapon. And since there are noises in the world about another war, this would be a very, very, it would be a very destructive weapon because it would light fires as well. Anything that was flammable, it would light fires around probably and also be hot enough to literally melt stones and steel. And what we're supposed to do about it, I'm not sure. But in the dream, the side that I was on was encouraging this fallen woman to, keep your head low, but come on over, come on, stand, get up and come over here, like, hurry up over here, like, come on over. Trying to, trying to help her. And it's funny because keep your head low, the air will be down toward the ground, is the same kind of advice you give people who are in a fire. But the fact that she did finally pull herself up and come over and run over is very hopeful because that means, I think, that in some way there's going to be an uprising. Somehow, people pulling themselves up and running over to the helpful side is probably a very good sign. So it's scary, but it's also got a happy ending of a sort. Now, what does she represent really? Well, in China, they really don't respect the feminine principle much at all. There was an expose that girl babies who are orphans, who are left in an orphanage, are often just left to die. They just aren't taken care of. Um, in a lot of cases, if they're shorthanded, that's just what they cut. Uh, and as unconscionable as that is to us, this is a country where they encourage people to abort. So, nothing against the Chinese people on the whole. As a matter of fact, everybody where I was sitting was trying to console this person that, they can live through this, but come on over, get your courage up and come on over here. Okay, I don't want to dwell too much more on this, but I'm going to let you ponder this. What does this really mean? Is it now the other question is it the female, divine female principle that we're talking about that needs to pull itself up or is under attack by a plasma weapon? Is it China that's under attack? Is it China that is launching the attack? Is it, you know, exactly the rest of this is still up for some interpretation? But as I've had it more than once, I have to say, I've had it several times in 1 week. This is a really important one. So we need to figure this out. What action we can take, I'm not sure, except being your divine self and getting a lot of messages that we have to learn mastery of the elements. And that isn't meaning being domineering, but learning to work with them. How do we work with the elements to protect ourselves and protect the planet and get things going right? Because this is part of our divinity. It's part of what we're supposed to be doing. And so getting these messages that we need to reclaim our mastery over the elements. I'll talk a little bit more about this in another broadcast. But this was important and you need to hear it. And maybe if you come up with some more info in this direction, please put it in the comments after the show. And I'm not going to belabor it a whole lot. I'm probably going to, I needed it to be a little dimmer in this video to be able to concentrate on what I was seeing in my head. It's kind of hard to explain how these things work, but probably you will have some ideas of your own. And it would really help out my channel if you would like and share these episodes and leave a comment. So if you don't mind, please, when this comes back up, leave a comment. Let me know what you think of this stream. And I'm going to charge up my phone again and maybe be back in not too long if if things don't go awry, to show you what's in my calendar and talk about some other things. But I just needed to get this out because apparently it's very important. And now that I have that piece, that this is plasma that we're talking about, I'm starting to see what's so important about it and why we should be prepared. Remember, this is not to frighten you. This stream had a happy ending. I think that means that we can win this if we're prepared and not frightened, too frightened, and reclaim our divinity. And I think really the most important thing we can do is embrace our divinity. Embrace that we are more powerful than we've ever been trained to believe we are. You have been gaslighted and dumbed down and told a bunch of baloney about yourselves, about how you have original sin and about how you have blah, 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 blah. And humans are so bad and everything. Bullshit. Humans are basically good creatures. And we've been trained to believe that we're not. And really, it's the influence that we've been under that's causing most of the nasty stuff, okay? Because humans will run into burning buildings to save other humans and even their pets. Humans will risk their lives to save a fallen animal in a ditch. Humans will do amazingly altruistic and good things. We can do many, many good things. Think how many people are healers. Think how many people help people every day with no pay, with no thought to what they're going to get out of it. Heck, I do it all the time. People get themselves in some kind of spiritual trouble. I don't even charge. I do accept donations, believe me. It's not because I'm ultra rich, but because it's the right thing. Humans are basically good creatures. And that's another thing we need to insist upon. Psychopaths are not good, okay? Here's the thing, psychopaths are not really human. They're not fully human. I'm sorry, but they're not. They are missing a very important ingredient in being human. And fully human. They may be in a human body, but they're missing a component, unfortunately. And this is not to say that we should do anything to them because of that we should, but just you have to be careful of a real psychopath, because a real psychopath doesn't have any compunction in doing whatever it takes for them to police themselves. Okay? But that's not the true divine human. That is something else. Now, I don't know if they're just entirely missing it or if it can be unlocked and restored to them. I don't know that. I don't have those answers. That's probably for somebody else to answer or address. But humans are inherently good creatures. Just bear that in mind. And if you're here on this broadcast, remember that you're divine and you can do a lot of things you don't know you can do yet. And you'll never know until you try. Hey, good day, Ken. Yes, a battle is coming, Ken. That's true. And we've got to be ready for it. And like they say, be prepared, not scared. It's not a time to be scared. It's a time to just realize it's coming and be ready for it. Just be on your guard that this is going to happen. But it also looks like we're going to win. So I hope that helps you. You take a look at what all's going on in the world today. And it's kind of scary. Oh, kind of scary. Gosh, it's bloody awful, isn't it? But it looks like from my dream, and my dreams are usually very good this way. It looks really like, we're going to win. Or at least in this dream, we won. Now, there's more to come. Oh, yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure there's quite a bit more. But you'll you'll be updated as soon as I get the intel, and if I get any intel on this, or if I have any more dreams, or if I have the information, you guys are going to be the first to know. And that's the way I am. I'll make sure that I let somebody know that this is happening. So I really feel like March, April, May are going to be really big months, and everybody's saying that. This is not just me. We're all feeling it. There's going to be once again, for people who are wondering, there's going to be litigation all over the place. And we probably won't hear much of it. You'll probably have to go to an alternative news station or Russell Brand in order to hear about any of it. You'll have to go to somewhere like Joe Rogan, Russell Brand, or maybe Veritas or Gravitas, or one of the alternative news broadcasts that is not, unfortunately, not from here. They just don't want to tell you anything. I guess they don't tell the Canadians anything either, and I'm pretty sure they never tell the Aussies anything if they can get by with it. So you're going to have to, while we have internet, you might as well use it and look outside of the box to find your news, because you will not probably find the most important stuff in your news broadcasts that are supposed to give you the news, but don't. Um, Cable news network, CNN, it's dropped way off. I mean, the viewership has dropped way off. They're saying people just don't trust these standard news sources like they used to, which is a very good thing. I think this is a very important thing. Also, I want to say that some people have been saying that my voice is kind of puts them into a trance. I might be doing some, but they're saying it in a good way, not a bad way. I say, is that good? Is that bad? Well, I find myself kind of traveling sometimes when I'm listening to your voice. It's like, okay, I'm very glad to know of that. Maybe I should be returning to meditation videos. A long time ago, I did meditation recordings. I have some background in media, but not a whole lot. I mean, but I do have some. And I did recordings, meditation recordings for a company a long time ago. It wasn't a big company or anything. Actually, it was more like a private group wanted me to do them because of my voice. So I may be doing that again, and maybe it's time to revisit that, which is not that bad. In which case, maybe I'm gonna check into Amazon Audible or something. But anyway, there it is. That's what I know at this point. So before my phone dies again, and I shouldn't use that word, um, before my phone runs out of battery again, we got to be careful how we talk. We are divine. Oh, Ken, yeah, a tale of two cities. It'll be the worst of times and the best of times. Well, ain't it always? It seems like it always is, Ken. I can't remember a time when it wasn't, in fact. And remember, I grew up during the Vietnam era. Oh, we're contemporaries, aren't we? I think so, Ken. So I grew up during the Vietnam era. It was a great time in a lot of ways. It was also a terrible time in a lot of ways. And, I hate to say, when things get boring and they don't have anything else to do, they trot out a war. Somebody picks a war. We have weak leadership right now, in my humble opinion, but it's not just my opinion here in the States. And it would be a great time for somebody to pick a war. From their point of view, it's like, this guy can't even finish a press conference right. This guy can't even read from a teleprompter right. These two, we're not afraid of these two. Nobody's afraid of these two, except the American public. We're afraid of these two because they're running the country, supposedly. We're afraid of them, yeah. But our, our, our supposedly enemies, other countries, no. No, not really. Sure not Afghanistan. Afghanistan ain't afraid of them. You get my drift? Okay. Speaking of drifts, snow drifts up to our butts. And that's okay because Ohio's like that. And really, there's a lot of plants there's bulbs that actually need to freeze. There's other things that need to freeze too. So, some freezing here in Ohio, that's normal. And, you know, I'm not going to do anything about or try to do anything about that. You know, I'm just going to ask, can you please be clear on the day that I need to go shopping? And, the rest of the time, whatever. But I only go shopping once a week. So I really don't go out that much in the winter, and I don't care. I like my home now. It's a nice home. I have people come over and visit, but I really don't have very much desire to go out during the winter. Now in the summer, probably it'll be different, but or in the spring, but we'll see what the what happens in the spring. Looks like it's going to be wild, Mr. Magoo. Oh, Joe Magoo. Yeah, Ken. No kidding. Yeah, honestly, I wonder what is going through. And he's changed again. Has anybody noticed he's changed again? I mean, it seems like is he somebody else again? Because he was nothing. He was coming in nothing like the guy that was with Obama, right? Very different. I mean, very kind of feeble and weird and just a whispery voice. And now he's got this much lower voice and seems to be more wide awake. Does that mean they have him hopped up on something or, you know, what the heck is going on with this guy? But we don't know. Yeah. Yeah, his skin looks redder, has more color in it, whereas before he was pasty. I don't know, dudes. What is going on with this? I there are people who say I'm not sure whether or not I buy the clone theory, but maybe an actor. Yeah, I mean, you can buy an actor. You can go down to the, you know, you can rent actors to impersonate anybody. And we already know that Putin does this. He's got at least 5 people that play him, so that nobody's ever quite sure and can't then assassinate him so easy because nobody's quite sure which one is really him. So maybe they're doing the same thing with Joe, and maybe uh, that's the reason why we see all these differences. I don't know the answer to that one for sure. All I've got is suspicions. But if you've been paying attention to things, it's creepy. We have got a creepy situation. And who knows? I know. I mean, some of the policies and something really, I mean, or is that really just, uh, or is that some kind of artificial life? I don't think so. I think they would have made it more lifelike. But that's just me. Ken looking like he has a mask on, that kind of I get the impression that he's from the beginning. I kept seeing a puppet with a claw up its butt. That's the best I can describe. Like a little hand puppet. It's like I'm going, oh geez, that's a very bad sign. So yeah. So I'm gonna have to take a look at that, Ken. Yeah. Looking like he has a mask on. That's certainly whether or not he has a physical one on, there is certainly a psychological one. It's like wearing a mask, yeah. And that so okay. I'm gonna cut it off for now and go charge my phone before it, runs out of battery. Love you guys. I'm looking out for you. Remember, you're divine. This is ocean making waves. Now it's time for you to go out and make some, but keep your head down a little bit when they fire at you. You fire the stuff at you. Remember to breathe. But don't let them get the best of you. You're okay right now. If you're still okay right now, if you're still breathing and still alive, you can probably continue if you so choose. We just got to get our courage up to be able to be who we really are, and then we can face anything. We can, when we reclaim our divinity, we can change all of this. That's why we got to do it. So, the other thing is, truth is where you find it. Hope you find some on this channel. And I hope you like and share and subscribe your alternates and subscribe your aliases. I hope you like and share and comment. Please do. And let me know what you think of this dream interpretation. I really want to know if people have more in. I feel like there's more information about this. We haven't got the whole thing yet, but this is enough to give us a start. Plasma. Okay, love you guys. Stay well.